enhancing accelerated abandonment of female genital mutilation or cutting. We also want to promote dignified living for Sabine girls and women and family without jeopardizing the entire Sabine culture and traditions. We thought we could do that by 2024. To influence all Sabine school-age-going girls to go to school and stay in school. The problem that we have had for some time now is that many girls have been taken for the cut, and even women who had escaped earlier. And in the last episode in 2018-2019 to early 2020, we had about 150 families getting FGM-related conflicts in a ceremony called Pasiben, whereby a woman cannot participate in the ceremony unless you are cut. So your husband hires another woman to stand in for you, and this caused a lot of conflict and promiscuity in the family. 300 schoolgirl dropouts in Kapchora occurred at that time. Only that COVID came and covered, and I believe the situation could have become worse. At least 10 government officials got FGM-related threats. I remember a judge who went away, just left the job because they told her, you'll be cut also. But nevertheless, the cultural institution has come up and is now on the lead together with the CDOs in the region. We are really working together with the church. And therefore, we want to say the justification for having this alternative rite of passage. Your Excellencies, we saw that past interventions used approaches foreign to Sabine culture. And so when sensitizations came, they were looked at as an outsider issue. The language used was so demonizing to the whole Sabine culture and traditions, and this led to resentment and defiance. Studies have shown that cultural problems require cultural solutions, and so the cultural institution is taking the right direction. Hence, the SWAROP development by the Sabine Cultural Institution is found suitable as an intervention for attitude change against FGM and other practices harmful to the women and girls. Now, of course, the stakeholders, we have the girls and the women. I am one of those, the Baganda will say, Kaonayo. I escaped. My father was a priest, and we didn't know what was happening outside there, except one day when I was in secondary school, I overheard him shouting at another man that if you catch my girls, I'll take you to police. So bravo to the church. Sabine Cultural Institution, this includes the elders and traditional leaders as stakeholders, the community, men, boys, fathers, mothers, grandmothers, the leaders, religious, in academia. I'm one of those in academia, so I represent my group, the politicians, opinion leaders, influential persons, and FGM practitioners, even the surgeons and the tutors. For us in the Kalenjin, we say Jeshaptum. I think my Kenyan counterparts know that well. Honorable Minister, thank you. Now, the target population, this SWAROP targets 400 people, including men, women, and girls in Sebei sub-region for attitude change. Areas of operation, Bukwa, Queen, Lower Belt, including Amdat and Kapchora. Neighboring tribes of Pokot in Amdat, Sabaot in Kenya, Keyo, Kipsigis, Marakwet, and the Nandi communities in Kenya. For us, as border communities, the borders are not an issue to us. We just walk across and we come back. The grandfather is the other side, grandmother is this side, and we have a problem. But we are trying to fill the gap, and we are dialoguing as the communities at the border. Recently, I was in Kapenguria, West Pokot. I met the governor with my team, the church, the bishop, and we had good dialogue on education and FGM. Filling the gap. What will we use to fill the gap? We need the completion of the development of this alternative rite of passage. A write-up. It is expensive to make a write-up. We discovered that most sensitizations were hearsay, were word of the mouth, and the books for the children are not there. For the primary children, secondary, the write-ups are not there. Sometimes we see police arresting. That is the message which is very loud in the village, and that's defiance. The CDOs have tried their best in workshops, and also when there are cases, they have tried their best, but we feel the write-ups should be out and include some of these things in the curricula, as I have seen Kenya and I think Tanzania. The other thing is embrace traditions, traditional and modern value skills. This is what SWAROP purposes. Its purpose is also to influence Sabine community to adopt the alternative rite of passage and excluding FGM, and maintain vital traditional social values. And then we also want to cause attitude change and end FGM without violating the rights of women and girls in Sebei and the whole region. Members, I want to inform you that FGM is partly spiritual and psychological. When the time the season comes for circumcision, you just see even married women jumping out and running, and you wonder what has really tickled them, because it is spiritual. And those who understand the spiritual things of the Word of God know what happens. It is an empowerment. And therefore, we want to say that we need to include psychological aspects in the curriculum content. And also, when we bring in the spiritual aspect, we need to be very careful, because some other religions are not very good. But we have seen the Christian church has done quite well. That's why I am a survivor. And then we need to also include, the psychological aspects include self-esteem, self-efficacy, whereby women can value themselves and not just throw themselves down. Self-efficacy, so that they can develop assertiveness and then avoid succumbing to communal compliance. Because people have talked, I have to go. No, they will escape when they have the psychological aspects of self-esteem, self-efficacy. Now, the empowerment aspects arise in the Kakwombet. I think, my sister, you know that. The girls sing the whole week, and they sing chanting songs that give an empowerment, something they cherish. And then there is the Kapchai ritual, whereby they get up very early at dawn. They are taken to the river, and then they make oaths there, and also they make incantations. And then the Kanyetu, that is the graduation ritual aspect, where they arise and they are dressed and anointed in this one set or FGM process. So the whole thing is a mentorship that starts from childhood, and when we throw away FGM, which is the apex, we throw away a whole mentorship curriculum or process, and therefore that is why SWAROP has come back as to fill the gap. Include the instructions and vows in the rites of passage processes, mentorships were quite psychological, and therefore we have to find an alternative. I talked of the cross-border. There is a lot of nostalgic feelings towards rites of passage, enjoyments make locals move either direction, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and they embrace genital cutters as custodians of the demonized tradition. And therefore, border tribes don't recognize physical boundaries, hence free entry in and out of the countries, either countries. The economic impact also are socially driven. They easily propagate FGM. The adored, colorful, for cat girls, giveaway ritual celebrations are big drivers of FGM. You'll find the whole community there and somebody might think it is something very good, and yet it is quite dehumanizing. So we said we have to change the strategy of presentation. We need to use locals and not outsiders. Outsiders can help us, guide us, but need to use locals and implement the alternative rites of passage. Use an inclusive participatory approach and recognize the religious contribution, especially in Kapchorwa. We have seen it in Sabei region and in Kenya. Positive approaches, use positive approach and avoid demonizing local culture. Do a write-up and not just hearsay. Do research on FGM and have figures, have issues, have causes, have drivers, know them, and they disseminate them to the public. Do a public declaration of abandonment by community leaders, elders, and the leaders, and everybody, so that, a declaration is binding. It's like a covenant, hard to go back to. What do we expect to have? A fully developed and adopted girls' mentorship curriculum. Hopefully, we hope to be funded so that we can write it. We want to travel the regions, and I would request our Kenya counterparts in Tanzania, where this Kalenjin community comes from, let's come up with a generalized alternative rite of passage so that it can cover all of us and we can work as a team. Let us not have a micro solutions, but let us come up thanks to this conference. An enlightened community is what we expect, aware of women's rights after rolling out this alternative rite of passage. Empowered, we expect empowered Sabine elders fully aware of the benefit and non-discrimination of women and girls. We expect an active media advocacy reaching over 10,000 people against FGM and other harmful practices against women. And we also expect a fully ignited community activism, including key people active in girls' rights of passage decision-making. Members, we will have activities such as recruitment of participants, mobilization, publicity, and needs assessment and feasibility studies. That is where the funding might need to go. Curriculum development, consultancy, curriculum designing, content development, training, seminars and presentations, consultations, visits, and data collection. Then the launching and implementation of SWAROP will come. I don't want to talk much there about the administration, assisted by the Ministry of Gender and Government in government. What do we finally expect? A harmonious engagement with partners and government, a completed and adoptable mentorship curriculum write-up, an effective cross-border collaboration, a happy Sabine women, and a prosperous family. I thank you. I want to say the commissioner asked me of gender, Madam, you asked me, what is the replacement of the cat? Just a moment, sir. The replacing the cat, the elder said, there will be a blessing pronouncement at the graduation ceremony, and that shall be made. A blessing pronouncement, a pronunciation shall be made by the father of the girl, as a girl's father shall anoint his daughter with the oil by the laying on of his hands on the girl's head. That will be the symbol of graduation and will replace the cat. As for the curriculum content, maybe you will find in our mails. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jessica Kusuro there, for your presentation. Indeed, this is a topic you understand very well. The passion with which you speak, the experiences you have are a very good lesson for all of us. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming now Mr. Nangiro Simon Peter Apollo, who is the chairperson, Karamoja Elders Association. A round of applause for the chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, honorable delegates, and all participants, good afternoon. Thank you very much to get this opportunity. I am a messenger from the elders of Karamoja. Our elders are from 50 years onwards to belong to Karamoja Elders Association. That means people who have seen what it means by being alive. And our institution is informal. We don't have a centralized authority. In terms of our establishment, it is clan design. We have clans spread across the region that always associate through what we call a cricket, a gathering of elders to make pronouncements about a living of a people. How should the Karamojong live when they graze their cattle, when they migrate, when they perform ceremonies, when they, whatever is touching their life, a cultural living. Culture is about life. So in this cricket, it has been a domain of males, but of recent, we have incorporated women because that is where decisions are made. And it's very important that people who are affected by decisions should participate. And I wish to thank the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development for recognizing us and that we are participating as a cultural institution. We are very grateful. Now, in these crickets, we have formed what we call champions. Champions in terms of passing messages that we feel for example, when we have denounced negative practices, there must be people to spread it out. So culture, yes, we have had good practices. There are also bad practices that we are saying, no, we don't want this. And one of it, which is really alien to Karamojong culture, is FGM. It has not been part of Karamojong culture. It is very sad. We are really fighting against it because what is it? Why should you just copy because of a neighborhood relation? So we are fighting it hard. It's not so much spread in the entire Karamoja. It's mainly in Tepeth area, Kadam, and Pokot. The circle is clear, and we are concentrating. I thank the technical people, particularly the Department of Culture. They are really a forefront, as you had the police participation and all this. The synergies have been built. It is something that we know with time we shall overcome. Now, the major thing is creating awareness. What is the benefit? Why must people face this knife? Really, that's why when you ask these old people, what is it? Then they say, it was abangao, we were ignorant about it. It was about being stupid. That's what they say. Because they look strong when they're still young, but as they grow, they realize, whatever we did that time was really useless. So it's a resentment area that our children should not face this knife. Particularly when you tell them the pain. Like, see the suffering that really the former presenters have been giving. It is so painful. You can put yourself in the shoes of that girl child. It is dehumanizing. We are really standing with you who are all saying we don't want this exercise. We can't continue having children who are tormented like that. Because psychologically, they become fearful. They will just feel they are not part of the community. So it is something that we are not allowing to go on. And we are saying, what children are we producing? Because our time is going. The really important part about the elders is they are saying, our time is going. Which kind of people are we bringing up with this changing world? Why should we adopt a culture that is very resentful? So as Karamoja Elders Association, that one, trust us, we are fighting it. We are not going to allow these children to continue having this. And our nature of association is in such a way that we're always meeting. These elders are in everyday meeting by way of stay, because they go and sit under a tree, you cross from your compound, the other one crosses from his compound. And the Karamojong always have this saying that, oh, what is the story? We don't need a radio for certain things, although now it's a modern thing. But it's about passing a message from this Akireke to the other one. Oh, you came? Oh, I came. What was it? Ah, I was in such a place, and this was a discussion. And you share, it goes. What is shared in one Akireke will reach all Akirikets. So it's one good medium of passing information, our way of association. And our settlements are in such a way that nucleated. So we're able to pass messages very easily. Yes, radios have come. Televisions are a rare thing to us. If they're there, well, good. But passing information in Karamoja is a very easy thing. We share our information. Karamojong have no secrets. We don't. What something is wrong, it's wrong. Somebody will say, well, that we walk naked. No, we don't walk naked. We see life. That's why we live it. We live the true life. So that is Karamoja. Karamoja is a place of truth. Karamoja is a place of fairness. Karamoja is a place of reason. You don't just do things because you are living. No. What is the future? So, because procreation means the other people should be better than us. The children who are producing must live a better life than us. We live the harsh life. We thank our government trying to improve our environment by providing us water, by providing us roads now and electricity. But naturally, we adapted to our environment. We want to survive as a people. We don't want foreign cultures that come and really lower the life of our people. Otherwise, I thank the religious organizations, particularly the Catholic Church in Amudat, that provided us with a reception center. Also with the government providing us reception centers. The security forces, particularly police, we've apprehended some of these surgeons, and it's something that people realize and said, so it's not allowed. Karamojong are people who follow what government says. Encourage dialogue. There is no impossible person. As long as you encourage dialogue, you'll always reach where you want to reach. For there was not much from our side, except to tell you that as Karamojong, we don't like FGM. We really disregard anybody who wants to bring FGM continued activity in Karamoja. We shall never encourage it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simon Peter Apollo Nangiro. You see, when the elders speak, the village listens. And what they say, we follow. It's very, very a big blessing for us that we are together with you in this cause. And I'd like to thank you for that commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, up next is a presentation from the Youth and Children Representative. I have the honor to introduce to you Mr. Josiah Kwemoy from Bukwo Elite Primary School. He is in Primary 6 and is going to be presenting on behalf of the children and the youth. He comes along with his mother, Lydia Chesang. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome them. Can I have a microphone? Please come. Okay. Speak first, then Sarah will come next.
Thank you.
Sarah will do. Please start.
Thank you. By name Chesang Lydia. I come from Bukwa district in a sub-county called Riwa, where the practice of this FGM is still high. Let me take this opportunity to first appreciate the efforts made by Honorable Minister Mutuzo Peace for making her initiative to come and visit the most primitive area. When I was seated yesterday there, it was being mentioned that their roads are really bad. But she made an initiative of coming and see what is happening on the ground. I do appreciate her as a mother, and really as a mother. Let's clap for her. I know yesterday when discussions were on, there was something I wanted to mention, but because of time, I did not come up with that. There is one thing in our community. Much as the open FGM has come down, but there is yet another hidden mathematics of when a lady is in labor, wants to give birth. In that process, when she has not gone to the hospital and she is attended to by the traditional birth attendants, in the process of pushing the baby, they end up mutilating that lady, which is a double pain. As a mother, I've given birth to children. The pain of the child plus the pain of mutilation becomes a twin pain, which is so bad to me. I therefore recommend that the health sector or the health department with the Ministry of Gender to join hands to see that there is no woman who is given permission to deliver at home. And when she does so, some punishment should be levied on that lady such that this crime is not going to prevail. I was only given 1 minute, but I think the whole wrap-up is going to be presented by Josiah Kwemoy. Thank you very much.
The guest of honor tonight, Honorable Peace Mutuzo, and all invited guests in your respective capacities. Before you is Kwemoy Josiah from Riwa Town Council in Bukwa District, ready to address this honorable gathering. Bukwa District is inhabited by the Sabine community. That's West Pokot County of Kenya in the east, whose inhabitants are the Pokots. Both these communities have been practicing FGM since historical times. They believe that women after mutilation become adults and are ripe for marriage. However, FGM has very bad health effects to the victim, such as too much pain, overbleeding which may lead to death, risk of contracting HIV/AIDS, fistula. The wound may fail to heal, among others. Kindly allow me to thank our district leadership through the office of the DCDO for constantly holding sensitization meetings across the borders against FGM and its effects. The United Nations Population Fund and the United Nations Children Fund have become great pillars for fighting FGM in Buka district. The following are the reasons that have increased FGM in Buka district according to my opinion. 1. Illiteracy. The level of illiteracy in Buka district is still very high. Many girls drop out of school from primary level due to extreme poverty. Such girls end up in premature sex, teenage pregnancy, and early marriages. They are normally mutilated during birth without their knowledge. Others follow their mentor's advice as a passage of right. 2. Porous border. The border between Buka district and West Pokot County in Kenya is passable everywhere. Many girls from our district cross to Pokot to be cut and return home when their wounds are healed completely. 3. Poverty. The level of poverty in Buka district is still very high. Most parents believe that girls who have been cut will attract more cows as bride price as compared to girls who haven't. In addition, many young girls have crossed to Kenya to seek employment as housemaids, barmaids, and waitresses. In the end, they get mutilated. 4. Ignorance. The level of ignorance in Buka district is very high. Most Sabin and Pokot communities are ignorant about the law against FGM. They claim that this law was created by the whites to deprive them of their cultural values. Basing on the above reasons, I therefore recommend that 1. The government should construct many boarding secondary schools for girls, especially in the lower belt like River Town Council and River Sub-County, where the practice of FGM is very high. 2. The government should construct a skill center at River for girls who have dropped out of school. 3. There should always be cross-border sensitization meetings by both Uganda and Kenya governments, even during ODIs through the office of the DCDO. 4. Booklets containing Anti-FGM Act should be translated into local languages and distributed in abundance to communities practicing FGM. 5. The government should construct a radio station in Buka district for more sensitization programs on FGM and its effects. 6. Culprits of FGM should be arrested and punished according to the law as stipulated. 7. Full scholarship should be given to girls who perform well in national exams and have not been cut. 8. Girls who have decided to explore athletics in Rio Athletics Camp should be supported by the sports ministry fully. I believe if the government and local leaders adhere to these recommendations, FGM will completely be eradicated by the year 2025. Albert Einstein said, "The world is a dangerous place not because of those who do evil, but because of the good ones who look on and do nothing. For God and my country."
Members, another round of applause for Josiah. I'm very sure if I said he returns and recites the same statement again, you'd agree. Very interesting. What things children can do, and we think they can't. We need to change our perceptions. It's about empowerment. And it rides for everybody. Even in the fight for eliminating FGM, it's about empowerment. With information, with the resources, you get there. Having these meetings, this is the third, where we're having all ministers converging to discuss this topic. It's not for the leisure of meeting, but the more you talk about something, the more minds you change. If you had stopped at the first meeting, up to now, I don't know what kind of achievements we would be talking about. But the more we meet, discuss, agree, have recommitments, we change more perceptions, and we gain traction closer to what we want. So I want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this young man with a very good message. We identified this young man the day when the Honorable Minister of State for Gender and Culture, Honorable Mutuzo here, traveled to Riwo sub-county. It's at the border with Kenya. Actually there, if you're listening to a radio, you're going to use the radio of Kenyan side. The moment you reach there, your Ugandan telephone network will change automatically to roaming from across the border. So everything in that area is more so of a Kenyan tradition, but they identify as Ugandans and they are Ugandans. So there is a lot of influence from across the border on what happens in their daily life. So once we listened to him, many of us couldn't believe that, there would be such a young, bright man with such an open mind in that part of the world. But again, it goes back to what perceptions you want to build about everyone you meet in your life. Many times it's just a bias that drives you, but people are full of infinity possibilities. Never limit somebody, anybody you see, never limit them. They could do more than you think. Thank you so much, Josiah, for that. I want to invite, as we draw close to the closing session, I want to invite for one more time the culture troupe to come and give us a performance. And after that, we are going to ride into a very critical session where we're going to have recommitments reviewed and signed off, and then we shall go into the closing session. I'm already informed that our guest of honor is already on the way here to join us for that session. So I would like to invite Chalimpa Everest with the culture troupe to please come and give us one more performance as we hold on for those last two sessions. But allow me in the meantime to again recognize that the Tanzanian team is still with us online. Tanzania, thank you so much for being online. I don't know if my IT team is able to connect us again and we see where they are, but they are converged at a hotel in Dar es Salaam since yesterday, where they are participating fully and actively in the proceedings that we're having here in this hall. We want to thank them so much. We want to thank all the other teams from the UNFPA and UNICEF regional office in Nairobi, who have been with us also for these 2 days. We want to thank the presenters, representative from the African Union that are also with us online. We want to thank the huge army of the civil societies, organizations that are with us, participating in this event. Thank you so much. If you're participating online, it's never the same as you're doing it physically. Online needs an extra amount of attention, because the moment you move away from your gadget or you're interrupted by network, you miss something. Imagine if your network went off and it was Josiah speaking, you would never appreciate what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Annette and the team that is doing the recommitments to pass them on to the honorable ministers for review, so that they are ready for appending signatures when the chief guest arrives here and we start off the event officially. Once the chief guest is here, ladies and gentlemen, we shall start off with the recite of the national anthem together with the East African anthem, and then we shall launch into the different speeches that have been lined up for this. For now, I want to invite my IT team. We have a very short video, if you looked at your program, where we talk about FGM. I want to invite my IT team to screen the video on FGM, the 13 minutes video. If you could screen that as we wait for the cultural troupe to come and give us their performance. Thank you. We could take our seats. The Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister and Minister without Portfolio for the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Rukia Nakadama Isanga, you're most welcome. Today, we come to the close of what has been a 2-day engagement on ending cross-border female genital mutilation. Right Honorable, allow me to introduce to you the honorable ministers from partner states that have joined us through this convention. We have the convener herself, the Honorable Minister of State for Gender and Culture Affairs, the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Mutuzo Peace Regis, is the convener of this meeting. A round of applause, members. She's also the woman member of parliament representing the women of Unyangawu district in Western Uganda. Also with us, we have from Kenya, the Chief Administrative Secretary for Gender, the Honorable Dr. Lina Jebi Kilimo, here with us. A round of applause. From Somalia, we have Honorable Hanifa Muhammad Ibrahim, Minister of Women and Human Rights Development. You're most welcome. Have the Deputy Minister in charge of Health, Community Development, Gender, Elder and Children from the Republic of Tanzania, and that's Honorable Mwanaidi Ali Kamis, who is with a delegation seated at a venue in Dar es Salaam, but ably joining us through online. A round of applause to the Tanzanian team, and I would request my IT team that if we are able to connect with the Tanzanian team, please can you project so that we see the Tanzanian team? There they are on the screen right before us. Tanzania, please wave to us. Thank you so much for joining us through these days. Honorable, Right Honorable, that's the team that is together with us from Dar es Salaam there. From Ethiopia, we have a delegation led by Mr. Belete Dagni, who is the Child Rights Director, but representing the Minister of State for Women and Children Affairs. We have also been joined by the new country representative for UNFPA in Uganda, Dr. Mary Otieno. We have a strong representation of CSOs and other partners we work with in this cause, right from Uganda and across the borders of participating countries. And I would like all the other partners, the cultural leaders, the CSOs, to stand up and wave to the Right Honorable. Thank you so much. From the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, we also have the Commissioner for Gender and Women Affairs, Ms. Angela Nakafero, who is always at the center of ensuring that the program on eliminating FGM is implemented as it should be. We recognize her effort. I know she's busy somewhere outside, ensuring that everything is right. A round of applause to her. Right Honorable, this meeting is the third sort of meeting where ministers from the partnering states of Somalia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya convene to discuss an action they agreed on in 2019 in Mombasa, which gave birth to the Mombasa Declaration. That has been a combining document, a document that has led the vision on eliminating cross-border FGM, because given the different dynamics in these states, the practice of FGM has taken on a new turn, in that many communities now are finding it easy to cross over to nearby countries across the borders to practice FGM and then return to their respective countries. And therefore, there was need for the countries that are listed here to combine effort in ending this vice. That has been the core of why the meeting has been held here, to review what has been achieved so far and also agree on a set of activities to implement to push forward the cause. Allow me at this juncture invite the convener of the meeting to speak to us, and also she will give you a full brief of how the fight of FGM has been going on in Uganda. Join me in welcoming Honorable Mutuzo Peace Regis.
Thank you so much, moderator. Our chief guest, we are delighted to have you in person, because we know the passion with which you hold issues concerning women equity and the gender agenda. Before I move on, I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to invite you, our chief guest, the Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister, to come and take your central seat just in front of us. And thereafter, I will invite other delegates to join you before I deliver this speech. As she comes, our hands should be clapping. And those from Sabay know the things that comes along with it. Where is Juliana today? Exactly, those ones. Thank you so much. May I take this opportunity also to invite my colleague, Honorable Anifa Muhammad Ibrahim, Minister of Women and Human Rights and Development from the Republic of Somalia. Please join our chief guest. Honorable Mwanaidi Ali Hamis, Deputy Minister and Minister of Health, Community Development, Gender, Elderly and Children Affairs from the United Republic of Tanzania, is already centered somewhere through the TV, but back home in Dar es Salaam. So she's virtually with us. Honorable Lynette Jileli Kilimo, Chief Administrative Secretary, Minister of Public Service and Gender and Development from the Republic of Kenya. Please come and take your rightful seat. Exactly, I knew you would do it. Mr. Belet Degna, the Director of Child Rights from the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, please come and take another seat. Okay. Now the world can view us properly. Our dear chief guest, the Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Kia Isanga Nakadama, Your Excellencies, the ministers from partner states, those who are physically here and those in virtual, honorable members of parliament here, the country representative, UNFPA and UNICEF, representatives of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, representatives of traditional and cultural and religious institutions, representatives of civil society organizations, the media fraternity, our entertainment team, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor to welcome our chief guest, the Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Kia Isanga Nakadama, to the closing ceremony of the third high-level inter-ministerial meeting on cross-border female genital mutilation, during which we have taken stock of our achievements in addressing female genital mutilation across our borders. The third Deputy Prime Minister is my predecessor. She's the one who ushered me into the office where I have been for the last 7 years. So she took me through what she was doing before, and I took it up from her, and therefore her invitation today is not an accident. She holds issues of gender equity with all her heart, and her commitment has not left us. Even when she climbed higher, she holds the candle and carries the flag of ensuring that issues of gender equity and elimination of all harmful practices are heard, and decisions at the top level of cabinet, they are heard through her. So we want to thank you and appreciate you for the role you play and for what you put in me just before I came into office. And to assure you, I had never heard about FGM until Honorable Nakadama informed me about it, especially the aspect of cutting. So you can see how we can be in the same locality but world apart. And when I heard about it, it really hurt me so badly that I felt I should reach everybody that cares to listen to me, and wherever it is located. And this meeting is a testimony that I have been driving where you left me from, and I'm happy that you have joined us again to officiate on this very important meeting. We are grateful that you managed to take time off your busy schedule to join us. And your presence reflects a clear commitment to the gender equality struggle and women empowerment agenda, which we cannot take for granted. Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, I have the pleasure to inform you that all the 5 member states have been effectively represented by the ministers in charge of gender and women affairs. And even those that have virtually attended have been very attentive. From yesterday morning, 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock when we closed, the team in Dar es Salaam was online. And from today morning, 8 o'clock to date, up to this minute, I don't know whether they even have lunch, because they're always waiting for us to ensure that whenever we call upon them, they are on. So we really appreciate you for one to be virtually in a conference for 2 days is not an easy thing. But we also want to appreciate everybody that has made it here physically. We do not take it for granted. Allow me also to introduce to you once again the Honorable Anif Muhammad Ibrahim, Minister for Women, and Human Rights Development from the Republic of Somali, who has not just attended for the first time today, but we have been together. In every occasion we have talked about FGM, I've found her there. And yet the prevalence of her country is quite high, but that shows that she's very committed and dedicated, and she's not about to give up to ensure that FGM is eliminated from Somaliland. Honorable Mwanaide Ali Kamis, who is in Tanzania right now, gave a very strong speech that touched all of us yesterday, virtually. And she's been glued onto TV and also online throughout. And we really appreciate you, wherever you are located. May God bless you. And within the time you live, may you come to see the abandonment of FGM from Tanzania, so that the fruits of your labor are really paid off. Honorable Dr. Lynette Jelile Kilimo, the Chief Administrative Secretary, Minister of Public Service and Gender and Development from the Republic of Kenya, who is just right here with us, ensured that there was an anti-FGM law in Kenya, and that was her baby. The anti-FGM law in Kenya is one of those laws that are so elaborate, where we actually borrow from some leaf. And her presence here is not by mistake. She also is one of the founder members of the FGM board in Kenya. And she made sure that she put a number of structures in all the practicing communities. So her footsteps are felt. And she came with a very powerful delegation. Can you wave for us, the Kenyan community, please? Thank you very much. And sure, yes, there was also the community from Somali. The community from Somali, those who joined us today, oh, thank you so much. And I am sure Mr. Belet Degne, the Director of Child Rights, and from the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. You're here. Where is your delegation? Delegation from Ethiopia? ET? Aha, thank you very much. We board your planes almost every day. Right, Honorable Third Prime Minister, distinguished delegates, it's gratifying to note that all the member states have made progress in the implementation of the Mombasa Declaration and the action plan on ending cross-border migration for conducting FGM. Under Pillar 3, I am privileged to note that we are today to celebrate a milestone on improved legislation and policy framework in Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania, and Uganda. The African Union and IGAD have been supportive in these initiatives. Under Pillar 2, we have strengthened our cross-border coordination and collaboration. Today we celebrate the adoption of the Regional Action Plan on Cross-Border Female Genital Mutilation 2019-2024, whose goal is to enhance cross-border collaboration between Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania, and Uganda to end FGM by 2030. We can only do better. Under Pillar 3, all partner states have scaled up efforts on communication and advocacy, which efforts have greatly improved public awareness and knowledge on the impact of FGM and the demand for action. Under Pillar 4, I am privileged to inform you, Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, that we have more data to support evidence-based programming on FGM in the region than ever before. On the 3rd of November 2021, we launched the regional study on FGM, which emphasized the urgent need to address the root causes of FGM. We note that the practice of FGM is becoming complex. It is not the old FGM where during our traditions, people would go to run and ensure that they celebrate openly. It is not the kind of FGM that you'd know that is completely in the confines of culture and cultural settings. And it's not the kind of FGM that would take place in specific seasons that were known. This type of FGM right now is done in hiding, is disguised as a religious kind of an activity. Some people can go singing in a church, while you hear praises of hallelujah, you think it is a normal religious session, and yet they are mutilating somebody's daughter. And it has also gone, they have medicalized it. Some people go to hospitals specifically to do that. And the first FGM sometimes is happening on people who are mature aged and would not want to go into it. But when they go to deliver, even without consent, somebody just cuts off the other parts instead of only handling one aspect of delivery. The emergence of COVID-19 escalated FGM. Speaking from my heart, a number of people in Karamoja, especially the practicing communities, and Sebei sub-region, who are pastoralists, were constrained when the markets, the cattle markets closed. They had nothing to eat and nowhere to find source of funding for their livelihood. So they resorted to the young girls to turn them into women. And quickly they had to take them through the rituals, which eventually ended up rising FGM. Specifically in Uganda, we had hit the highest mark of reducing it from 1.4 to 0.3%. But this new emergence of COVID-19 and other disguised underground movements, which kept us from the data, but also COVID that did not support people from generating a livelihood they were used to, the fallback position was on our little innocent young girls. So the complexity we are talking about is in that respect, where home became more unsafe for young girls, and yet it was a safe haven we thought we would revert the children to after closing schools. Inadequate support services for girls and women who have been forced to undergo FGM is still a big challenge. The wounds are still fresh. When they go to deliver these days, in those facilities where we visited, they find girls or women with fresh wounds. And that's how they realize that FGM has been quietly happening without any indicator. And so our resourceful people, our duty bearers, are challenged to follow up sometimes because many of the clues they knew are changed completely. In our 2 days discussion, we have discussed a number of mechanisms that need financial support, moral support, that need all of us to have concerted effort. Because for every one girl that is cut, we all bleed. I am confronted that during this meeting, I am comforted that during this meeting, we have discussed innovative and more pragmatic strategies and approaches to ending FGM. But allow me to congratulate our facilitators. I am sure you know about Dora Biamukama. She has had it at heart. She has single-handedly struggled to ensure that we have a law in the East African community, still with constraints, but her heart is still onto it. And our work is really to support her. She does this work at no pay, but she's all over and everywhere to ensure that FGM is raised. And our sister from Kenya, there is a lady there who is in charge of the board. Can you tell our chief guest your name kindly? Yes, exactly. In the 2018, when we were in Ouagadougou, we realized that we can make a measurable difference if we sit together as the East African community and maybe from the Horn of Africa, those who are really interested, we can make a measurable difference. It was shameful to realize that within the Horn of Africa, the practicing communities account to a quarter of all the practicing communities in the world. So we thought we'd sit together in our small room and make a difference. And 2019, she took up the task and invited us in Mombasa, and where we made a declaration. And the action point is what we are reviewing today. So I want to thank you for taking it up to that level. And I want to thank our partners, UNFPA, my sister who has just joined us today, Mary Otieno, the country representative, UNFPA. She joined us last week in Uganda. Yesterday she was accredited, and today is her first engagement in this country to work officially. And she's confronted with FGM. I'm sure the first impression will be the lasting impression. So we pray that you take it up with us to ensure that you will leave a remarkable difference by the time, God willing, you can even retire from Uganda, no problem. But you still have a big career ahead of you. I can see a young face. But we pray that a remarkable difference that is measurable is made within the time you stay with us. I also want to thank our other agencies, UN Women, the African Union, the regional bodies, to support member states to implement their respective laws, policies, and plans of action on ending FGM. The UN agencies in Africa and African Union and all regional bodies have been very supportive in conducting multi-country studies on harmful practices for purposes of informing evidence-based programming on transformative social norms, values, and practices which are supportive to the achievement of gender equality and women's empowerment. The member states, thank you so much for investing your time in this very noble cause. And your investment in improving and supporting services for recovery, rehabilitation, psychosocial support to the survivors of FGM, including access to justice. We thank you for that noble job done. Support economic empowerment for families and communities to promote more productive communities and wealth creation, instead of families looking at girls as a source of income, is a call for action that we're all requiring member states, and we are committed to as Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me once again to extend our sincere gratitude to the respective governments for according us the resources, the space to engage all our stakeholders on ending female genital mutilation, even within the period when the pandemic is still around. That shows the strong attachment with which our respective governments accord issues of gender equality, because they had heard that teenage pregnancies is on the rise, that FGM is on the rise, that all harmful practices against women were rising. So they realized we cannot wait up to when COVID ends. Let's allow these forums to sit and discuss so that we can find solutions, even within the confines of COVID. What can we do so that our gains, the gains we have made for the last 20 years, are not washed away along with COVID-19? So I want to thank our respective governments for this time and space and the resources they have offered, with also the opportunity to sit and converge. I want to thank my team from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Kawarunji first rise up. That is the focal point person on issues concerning FGM. I'll have a commissioner, Angela Nakafero, please rise up. That is the commissioner for gender in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. And Frank, where are you? Aha, the man with the microphone. They've been all around. Of course, we have a bigger team than this. There is another team at the command center just behind there. You do not see them working, but all the paperwork that is coming around is because of them. So please raise your hands and wave to us. The rapporteur team, thank you so much for the work you're doing. We have people from the practicing community who had a very strong message of abandonment. The leaders from, who are those from Sebei sub-region, please rise up. Aha. Now, the Sabine want to ensure that FGM is abandoned, and there is a team among them, the Sabine Cultural Institution, not yet gazetted, but I think I'm getting convinced that it should be gazetted because of the values with which they attach to ensuring that women and girls are really protected. They came up with an alternative means of passage. Just before you walked in, they presented to us. And I'm sure even the member states from elsewhere are convinced that if we take that direction, we might reach somewhere with it. And since they are the spokespersons of the culture which had dominated and claimed FGM, I am certain and confident that once it is supported, FGM will be history. And I would want to see FGM completely off so that I feel that the last 7 years or 8 that I have invested into this struggle, it would be a big credit for all of us if we completely got zero tolerance of FGM in Uganda, and also from our border partner states and friends. By the way, our porous borders are not a mistake, and they are not a problem. It is an entry point for us to reunite. So if you are talking about East African community, if you are talking about African Union, we don't need borders at all. We need it as porous as it is for our cultures to interact so that we become one and together, and when we are ending something, we eradicate it once and for all. I'd like to re-echo our thanks to the development partners, and allow me to acknowledge the representation from UNFPA. Sorry, Dr. Otieno, even when you have just joined us, we heard a lot of history about you. And we know that you deliver. That's why, even in a week's old, you are here. Because we've been talking, and it was only one thing that failed you yesterday to join us, accreditation, that now that it is there, it is done, we are sure we have a very solid team to implement all our plans. We count on you and on your continued support. I'd like to take the words of the former President of America, His Excellency Barack Obama. And I want to quote, no matter how much you have done, been successful, there is always more to do, and more to learn, and more to achieve. And with these words, I'd like to make an appeal to all my counterparts, the honorable ministers and heads of delegations, to ensure that a new era of zero tolerance of FGM is adopted. As we commit ourselves, let us stand up and be counted as the leaders of a new generation that will save humanity from all forms of gender-based violence, harmful practices, and in particular, female genital mutilation. I'd also like to conclude by stating that intergovernmental and real, intergenerational and real change lies in transforming our social norms, values, perceptions, and practices that embrace gender equality and women's empowerment. Let us get ready and prepared for the challenge. This year's 16 days of activism campaign against gender-based violence is under the theme, Orange the World, End Violence Against Women Now. Not tomorrow, but now. It is a perfect time for us to swing into action at all levels, challenging men and boys to make the right choices, to create homes, communities, countries, and a world free of violence. It is now my singular honor and pleasure I want to take this opportunity to invite the UNFPA country representative to come and make her remarks, and thereafter we shall move to another program where we shall be reading the outcomes of this meeting. I thank you.
Actually, they are not my remarks. The country representative for UNICEF, Dr. Munir, was supposed to be here. Oh, you're here. Come and make your remarks. Hey, he's here. Please. He's just arrived, yeah. I was trying to save the moment. Just in time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
the guest of honor, Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Uganda, the Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, honorable ministers, representatives of partner countries, members of the parliament, religious, cultural, and traditional leaders, UN and UAE representatives, the organizers of this meeting in Uganda's Ministry of Gender, and special greeting also to the survivors of FGM. A very good afternoon to all of you. Over the past 12 months, the realities of COVID-19 pandemic brought home the fact that no person, no community, no country exists in isolation from the rest of the world. We are all interconnected for better or for worse. As the rollout of vaccines lessens the dangers of COVID-19, all of us stand in the wreckage of what the pandemic has left us in its wake. Examples of what we are left with in terms of the socio-economic impact of COVID are that households collapsing under the burdens of lost incomes and livelihoods, educations and futures interrupted for children, with the heaviest burdens left felt among the most disadvantaged, evidence of increased child abuse and gender-based violence, and growing data which suggest a massive spike in teenage pregnancies. Surely, within the context of all of this, the practice has not remained unaffected. Amid the socio-economic impact of COVID-19, we have seen that girls are viewed more and more through a sexual lens. They are subjected to early marriage and sexual abuse and exploitation. The practice of FGM is certainly part of the sexual lens through which many communities continue to view girls. The latest data we have from before the pandemic shows that real improvements in the reduction of GM have taken place. The magazine that Uganda's Ministry of Gender published before the conference documents the successes that all of you have achieved over the years. These successes have been thanks to your work in all fronts. These successes have been thanks to your work on all fronts, passing laws that prohibit the practice, cooperating on cross-border enforcement, engaging communities in sustained ways at the village level, and increasing school enrollment among at-risk girls in recognition of the role that education plays in providing girls and their families with choices and protection. While we don't yet have data on how the pandemic has affected FGM, it is quite possible that we will discover a reversal of some of the gains that were made in eliminating this practice. Over the next year, we will need to commit ourselves to robust data collection to understand the state of FGM post-COVID. This will mean not resting on the laurels of our earlier achievements, but rather doubling down on our interventions and investments to ensure that any reversals do not become entrenched or permanent. We are at a fragile moment, and we do and what we do over the next year will have profound implications for our countries and our people. Fortunately, we have a head start through the meetings like this one. We already know that ultimately we will rise or fall together. The achievements in Uganda, for instance, will not be sustainable without achievements across the borders in Kenya and other neighboring countries. In this regard, I would like to acknowledge His Excellencies the President Museveni, who has long recognized the importance of building an East African community, that development must be regional if it is to be sustained. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult period for all of us, with many challenges ahead. However, the strategic cooperation that I see from meetings like this one we are closing today gives me hope that together we can weather this storm. With girls, families, and communities coming together, that in the near future, FGM will soon become something of the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Country Representative, UNICEF, and we are greatly honored that you walked in right in time, but you were with us yesterday, so I want to take this opportunity to invite the director, the commissioner for gender, who is representing the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, to come and read for us the outcomes of this meeting. And if we agree with them, we apprehend signatures, and then we'll go to, after that we shall invite our guest of honor to make her remarks. So Commissioner, please, sorry, come and give us our statement. It's not our statement. These are the outcomes of the meeting. And there were no controversies as we discussed.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Our chief guest, Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers from partner states, Honorable Members of Parliament, country representatives of UNFPA and UNICEF, representatives of government ministries, departments, and agencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to read to you the outcomes of this two-day meeting on cross-border female genital mutilation. And I start. The third inter-ministerial meeting to end cross-border female genital mutilation in the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Republic of Kenya, Federal Republic of Somalia, United Republic of Tanzania, and the Republic of Uganda on the 25th November 2021 in Kampala, Uganda. Recommitments to the Mombasa Declaration on Ending Cross-Border Female Genital Mutilation in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Somalia of 17th April 2019. We, the ministers of partner states represented in the third ministerial level meeting to strengthen coordination and cooperation to eliminate female genital mutilation, and in particular, the cross-border dimensions, hosted by the government of Uganda on the 24th and 25th November in Kampala, Uganda. We reaffirm the commitments on galvanizing political action towards the elimination of female genital mutilation, Ouagadougou 2018, and the African Union Continental Initiative to End Female Genital Mutilation, both reaffirming the Maputo Protocol and Plan of Action to advance the rights and choices of women and girls in Africa. Cognizant of the commitments made by partner states in the first interministerial level meeting to end female genital mutilation in 2019 in Mombasa, Kenya, to strengthen coordination, cooperation to eliminate female genital mutilation, and in particular, the cross-border dimensions. Concerned that female genital mutilation, the total or partial removal of female genitalia for non-medical reasons, violates the human rights and the dignity of women and girls, and is a form of gender-based violence. Concerned by the estimates that globally, more than 200 million girls and women alive today have undergone female genital mutilation, including in 30 countries in Africa, and that Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Somalia account for almost a quarter, that is 48.5 million of girls and women who are being subjected to female genital mutilation. Realizing that COVID-19 has had far-reaching effects on our efforts to end female genital mutilation. Recognize that female genital mutilation is a reparable and reversible abuse that poses a serious threat to the health of women and girls, including their psychological, social, sexual, reproductive health, which can increase their vulnerability to sexually transmitted infections, including HIV and AIDS, and adverse maternal and child health outcomes, including death. Recognize that female genital mutilation affects socioeconomic well-being of women and girls and diminish their ability to access education, economic livelihoods, and opportunities. Reaffirm that the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child contribute to the legal framework for the protection and promotion of the rights of women and girls in Africa. Recalling the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women and Girls, and the Protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa, Maputo Protocol, which prohibits and condemns all forms of harmful practices and which mandates member states to take all necessary legislative and other measures to eliminate such practices. Reiterate our commitment to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, including Goal 5 on achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls, with target 5.3, which aims to eliminate all harmful practices such as child and forced early marriages, female genital mutilation, the African Union Agenda 2063, Africa We Want, where women, youth, especially young girls, play an important role as drivers of change to adopt the necessary social and cultural change. Reaffirm that the elimination of this harmful practice requires collaboration and coordination at all levels, regional, national, and local level, through the leadership of national governments in partnership with United Nations agencies, African Union, regional economic communities, bilateral non-government organizations, religious leaders, traditional and cultural leaders, community leaders, women and girls, men and boys. Noting the initiative taken by the 5 partner states on the 3rd November 2021 to launch the Coasted Regional Action Plan to end cross-border female genital mutilation 2019-2024. Further noting the need to establish structures and allocate adequate resources to prevent, respond, and eliminate cross-border female genital mutilation. Inspired by the progress made by partner states in the implementation of the 2019-2022 Regional Action Plan to eliminate female genital mutilation, including cross-border dimensions, having shared information on good practices and emerging trends on female genital mutilation in our respective countries, acknowledging continued goodwill and support of our respective governments, development partners, and UN agencies, reaffirming that ending cross-border female genital mutilation requires strong collaboration and coordination at all levels, regional, national, and local levels. We hereby commit, 1, to recommit to the Mombasa Declaration on ending cross-border female genital mutilation in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Somalia of 17 April 2019. 2, to implement the Coasted Regional Action Plan to end cross-border female genital mutilation 2019-2024. 3, secure the support and commitment of heads of state and governments to prioritize and commit adequate financial and human resources to eliminate female genital mutilation in our 5 member states. 4, establish and operationalize structures and regional, national, subnational, and local levels to implement the commitments made to eliminate female genital mutilation in our region. 5, work with cultural and religious institutions, elders, men and boys to define and support the alternative rite of passage for girls and women into adulthood and marriage. Signed, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Republic of Kenya, Federal Republic of Somalia, United Republic of Tanzania, Republic of Uganda. Honorable Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I wish you would give copies to each of the heads of delegations. I want to imagine that there are no controversies since we are moving on to the framework we already agreed on in Kenya the other time we went, except if there is anything emerging. Heads of delegations, do you find anything we differ from? If there's nothing, maybe we can apprehend our signatures and exchange so that each of us has a fully signed copy of all the partner states here present. The good thing is that we all speak English and the document is in English. So if there's nothing controversial, or if there is nothing that we need to add, Then you sign your copy and exchange it, give it to your sister neighboring you until we have the 5 signatures apprehended. I'd wish to give our distinguished guests maybe 5 minutes to read through and be sure of what they are signing. And as they read through, we have an entertainment team which is before us. The rest of us can join the entertainment, where our dignitaries just enjoy the music, but also perform the duty of signing the outcomes of the meeting. So you realize that we are constrained by time, and I'm sure you want to do it fast, the Sabine way. Do it as fast as possible and ensure that we are here entertained. So please give the microphones. Give the you want to give them a microphone or without? That one is a doctor. Okay. The floor is yours. Start and end as quickly as you can, but start it right now. Initials. We enjoy the music. Thank you so much. Our entertainment team, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A big round of applause to our entertainment team all the way from Kapchorwa. We enjoy the music. We love the little girls. How I wish we would have intermarriages, times for intermarriages when we have abandoned FGM. That's when the East African community will be into reality, live on reality. But now the fear is that, oh my God, now so we are no longer worried. So I want to thank you so much for that entertainment interlude. And please, I want you to congratulate our team, the leaders here, who have apprehended signatures without hesitation to the outcomes of this meeting. It is the first meeting, Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, that we hold without any controversy at all. Because all of us came committed to achieve one thing: zero tolerance to FGM. And that's why it has been very smooth, simple, and everybody has kept tuned in to the last minute. And therefore, without more ado, I want to take this singular honor and opportunity to invite you to deliver your speech from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. And I thank you so much for listening to me.
Honorable Ministers present here, Honorable Ministers from partner states and your respective delegates, Honorable Members of Parliament, the country representatives of UNFPA, UNICEF, UN Women, and other UN agencies, religious leaders, traditional and cultural leaders, representatives of civil society partners, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm called Nakadama Rukia Isanga, and I'm also a woman member of parliament for a district called Mayuge. It is in the eastern part of the region. Today, I'm here to represent His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who has sent you greetings. He would have loved to be with you, but because of other state duties, he has not been able to make it. But I'm here. Being a third deputy prime minister, like she told you before, I was in this docket of gender and culture affairs. So before I give the president his speech, I want to say something small. Of course, it is just an appreciation. And I want to thank the Honorable Minister, Honorable Peace Mutuzo, for the continuity of the elimination of FGM among the practicing communities. I think you are all aware that cultural practices cannot just die anyhow like that. They take long to die. Like you have seen this group here, they are demonstrating how our girls were being cut, I think during that time. But they are saying it's now a change, that the girls should not be cut. According to the demonstration, some of the words we could not get, but of course, we got from their actions that they are saying no to FGM. Because we have lost many. We have lost many doctors, we have lost many teachers, we have failed to get pharmacists and pilots from those regions where they are practicing FGM, because the moment the girl is cut, that is the end of it. She has to go for marriage. But at the age of 9, 10 plus, which is really absurd. So I have to appreciate and thank the members who are here. As a minister who was in this docket, I want Dora Byamukama, my sister, who has continuously fought for the elimination of FGM. We have been with her since that time. She has never gone out of this FGM struggle. Honorable Dora Byamukama, I thank you so much. I thank you so much, really, you have represented us well. We are proud of you. Whenever you talk about FGM, all the thoughts and everybody's minds run to Honorable Dora Byamukama. She has been a fighter. I want to thank the country, the border countries, for accepting to request governments to give us more money. Because this area of FGM, if we don't have the money, it is not so easy to take away this practice, like I said before. That is a traditional, it is a culture that people think should stay and stay and stay. So we need money to sensitize our people. We need money so that these church leaders, because I've seen this group, it has Church of Uganda, the men to change their mindset. They should change the mindset. We sensitize them so that they can even tell the young ones not to go in for FGM. You know, they put a lot of importance to it. They say when you don't cut, when you don't go for FGM, you will not get married, you will not produce, you will not go to the well with the others, you are not even allowed to eat on the same table with the others because you did not go for FGM. That's what they used to tell them. But I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the men. I want to thank the culture, the religious leaders, because they came out and said, no, we no longer want FGM. So I thank you all for this fight that you have put to see that FGM is no more. We want zero tolerance to FGM. I had to say those words because I'm going to deliver now the President's speech, but as a former minister in the Ministry of Gender and Culture Affairs, I thought it was really important because I used to love it so that I see those people not continuing with FGM. So I used to love to go to those places. We used to go to the different countries to see that even our neighbor countries should stop it. They should not attach it to religion, because some were saying, no, this is a religious practice. It's not. But they were just, trying to see how they can get our young ones, the young girls mainly, and they ended up being cut, not going to school, not going to, putting them under a lot of discrimination among the community. But I thank you so much. Those few remarks, I want to go back to His Excellency, the President, his speech. The President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He recognized the protocol like I did before. And here he says, I wish to welcome the delegates from the Republic of Kenya, the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, the Republic of Somalia, the United Republic of Tanzania, and the Republic of Uganda as the host. Thank you for joining us to discuss the challenge of cross-border migration, which unfortunately has continued to facilitate the movement of women and girls for genital cutting. The leadership of the National Resistance Movement, NRM, has put in place strong laws and policies of eliminating all forms of discrimination against women, including outlawing negative practices. The 1995 Constitution outlaws all forms of discrimination based on gender, religion, ethnicity, and economic status, among others. Our Constitution emphasizes gender equality and recognizes the significant role that women play in society. It guarantees women the right to full and equal dignity with men, and also mandates the state to provide facilities and opportunities to ensure the welfare of women and protection of women's rights, considering their maternal functions and the several roles played by women in the socio-economic transformation of society. We have adopted laws and policies to implement our Constitution. The Prohibition of the Female Genital Mutilation, FGM Act, that is 2010, the Domestic Violence Act, 2010, as well as the National Policy and Action Plan on Elimination of Gender-Based Violence, 2016, were developed, and these complement other existing laws, including the Constitution. Arising from our well-aligned vision on gender equality and women's empowerment, Uganda is signatory to key instruments by the UN, Commonwealth, AU, IGAD, COMESA, and ESC, which seeks to preserve and promote human rights, including the rights of women. The NRM government has strengthened protection and promotion of fundamental human rights and freedom of women through various fronts, including education and training. To this end, the gap between males and females in education has reduced at all levels of education. Girls are now competing with boys in national examinations. We shall continue addressing the school dropouts rates, especially among girls, in order to improve the attendance and retention rate of girls in schools and training institutions as a means of averting the vice of child marriage and teenage pregnancy. The practice of genital cutting, which qualifies them for early marriage, is therefore deterrent to the government policy and is punishable. In furtherance of the NRM's desire to improve the social and economic status of women, government has implemented several programs such as the Operation Wealth Creation, the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, that is WEP, the Youth Livelihood Program, and the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment, that is SAGE, among others. These initiatives have contributed to reducing the poverty rate from 33.8% in 1999 to 2000 to 21.4% in 2019. The proportion of women who own land increased from 16% in 2000 to 31% in 2016/17. 38% of women own a house. Financial inclusion has significantly improved from 28% in 2009 to 78% in 2018, with minimal difference between women and men. Under the third National Development Plan, that's NDP3, whose theme is increasing household income and improving quality of life, Government of Uganda has prioritized efforts to improve the economic status of all Ugandans, especially women, through agro-industrialization, human capital development, community mobilization, and mindset change for inclusive growth, employment, and wealth creation. We have embarked on the implementation of the program action plans, as well as adopted the parish development model that will bring services closer to the communities. The NRM government has invested in developing the health infrastructure and interventions to improve access and provide affordable quality health care for Ugandans. Uganda has registered progress in improving the health of women and the entire population. Maternal mortality rate has reduced from 505 per 100,000 in 2000 to 283 per 100,000 in 2019. Though still very high, total fertility rate has reduced from 6.9 in 2000 to 5.4 in 2019. Life expectancy has increased from 47 years in 2000 to 63.8 years now. The NRM government has further invested in improving access and utilization of clean and safe water. Today, 70% of the population has access to improved drinking water sources. 60% of villages have a source of safe water supply, and 93% of the urban areas have piped water. This is a relief to women and girls who are largely responsible for water collection. The NRM government has also invested significantly in transport infrastructure, and facilities include road, water, and air transport. Most parts of the country are now accessible. The NRM government has consistently pursued peace and security for all Ugandans as a prerequisite for socio-economic development. Uganda is a signatory to the United Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security. Uganda has implemented its first, second, and third peace recovery and development plan, PRDP, along with its associated projects, including the first, second, and third Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, that is NUSAF, from 2003 to 2020. All these efforts have had significant impact in the post-conflict socio-economic recovery in northern Uganda, in Karamoja, where cattle rustling has been contained, and the Great Lakes region at large. Uganda boasts of good collaboration between government and non-state actors who include the private sector, religious and cultural institutions, and the media. Under these partnerships, there is knowledge dissemination, collaboration, and mutual support, which should lead to generation of local level commitment towards abandonment of FGM and other harmful practices. Uganda has registered a decrease in FGM prevalence from 1.4% to 0.3% between 2011 and 2016. There has been a positive shift in the mindset regarding FGM, and over 95% people in practicing districts now believe FGM should be discontinued. That is in our report of UBOS 2017. Progress is further attributed to law enforcement and community mobilization efforts on the effects of FGM. We strongly recognize the role of elders in community mobilization for social norm and social behavior change in order to embrace development. To this end, the NRM government reinstated traditional and cultural institutions and gives them financial support to facilitate their work in communities. We expected this support to translate into elimination of harmful practices. Unfortunately, positive change has been painfully slow. Our cultural leaders, therefore, have a duty to play by facilitating their respective subjects and communities to abandon negative cultural practices and embrace the development programs ushered in by the NRM government. We are greatly concerned by the increasing levels of sexual violence from 22% in 2016 to 36% in 2021, and in particular, defilements and child marriages, which are practiced under the cover of culture. I urge the law enforcement officers to scale up surveillance. I also urge the elders and cultural leaders to support the police in strengthening community policing in order to eliminate the harmful practices. Also bring young people on board to show them the dangers in such harmful practices and their role in abandoning the practice. As I conclude, I would like to appeal to our neighbors to urgently address the challenge of FGM, including enacting strong laws which will stop girls and women from migrating to neighboring countries to undergo genital cutting. It is good that we have even our neighbors, Tanzania, they are with us online, and the rest you are all here. Please, the President is requesting that let us have those laws in place. Sorry to interfere within his speech, but that time we had a problem of the neighboring countries. The laws were not yet in place, though Uganda, we had put our laws there, but our neighbors had not yet put the laws in place. Please, he's requesting. It is now my privilege and honor to declare the cross-border meeting on ending FGM for Eastern Africa and Horn of Africa closed. I thank you all.
Thank you so much. The third Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda. And maybe this other good practice we can learn from Uganda, that we have 46% in cabinet. Women in cabinet are 46%. And we have a Prime Minister with 2 Deputy Prime Ministers who are all females. So we can't go wrong. There isn't a single decision where women will be discriminated at that high level of decision making, because our president has desired that we be there, and therefore nothing can skip us. So we are so privileged to have that. And with the good remarks from the president, please convey our regards, and we know him for being a male champion in the fight against FGM. Colleagues, we know you are going to travel, others to Kapchorwa, others to Amdat, and where? Moroto. Yes, the team from Moroto, did I introduce you? How could I have forgotten Moroto? Moroto, please rise up for recognition wherever you are. I'm sorry for that anomaly. We have a very good community development officer who is very dedicated to the fight against FGM in Moroto. And the chairman, LC5, he actually won a vote because of that. Yes, no knife, no. The Commissioner, Youth and Children, Fred Ngabrano, where are you located? Over there, please. Thank you so much for joining us. We had some people from the MDS, police, prisons, police, where are you? Over there. Thank you so much for enforcing the law. We all talk about the law, the law, the law, the law, but without you, it would not be a law because it would not be effective. Thank you so much for enforcing the law. Local governments, of course, have mentioned. We have members from the local government. Yes, local government, thank you so much for joining us. And I think we had foreign affairs. Foreign affairs, where are you located? Thank you so much for the hospitality you have always exhibited. From the minute anybody enters Uganda, you would see the love of Ugandans. So thank you so much for the work well done. And I wouldn't wish to spend so long. Apologies to whoever I will not have mentioned, but I am sure that you all really feel at peace with us. We love you all. Tanzanian team, thank you so much for tuning in and joining in up to the last minute. We are going to take a photo, and I think the team from Tanzania, take a photo and send it so that we can put it together with ours, wherever you are located. So send it to us. So please, let's go out and take a photo. On the staircases, we shall have a very convenient place for photo session so that we have a record of what has transpired today. We thank you so much for being with us. Yes, just after the anthems, don't be so quick to go. Just after the anthems is when we shall go for a photo session on the staircases. And we would love to have lunch with you, our chief guest. We have prepared a good meal. So please don't hesitate after the photo session to get back inside here and the restaurant so that we can enjoy lunch with a Prime Minister. How sweet it will feel. Thank you so much for being with us for all this long time. God bless all of you.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable. Thank you so much, Honorable Peace Mutuzo. Please, let's go for the photo now on the stairs. I would like to thank so much all countries that made it here. Kenya, thank you so much. Ethiopia, thank you so much. Somalia, thank you so much. We put a lot to this. Tanzania, thank you so much for joining in and participating. Kenya, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everyone that contributed to these preparations. I want to thank very, very much UNFPA. We thank UNICEF for making this possible. Let's have the photo, group photo now. The Right Honorable is already outside, so please, delegates, let's follow closely so we save time. Please, let's go for the photo. The Right Honorable is already on the photo position. We can't keep her waiting there.
place where lovers hide. Baby, I'm ready to go. More than you know. I'm hanging up, gotta paint my toes. Hair and back some clothes. I can't wait to hold you close. We lay low. Now don't you keep me waiting too long. Hurry up now, baby. Get away. Let's spend the day. Take it slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Move too fast. Gotta make this last. Take it slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Here we go.
It's Tuesday, and I ain't really thinking about home or checking messages on my cell phone. But with you, love, I wanna keep it going strong to a different time and zone.
Well, are you ready to go?
More than you know.
I'll change the color on my toes.
Let's take you shopping and buy you new cologne.
Thank you, darling, you're so kind.
You're so welcome anytime, 'cause you're the lady in my life. Spend the day and take it slow, yeah.